everyone. Thank you those that came in person, and hello to everyone joining on Zoom. My name is Lauren Dobeck. I am the Education and Outreach Coordinator for Keep Pensacola Beautiful. So I'm kind of like the staff leader of our Youth Advisory Council this year. This is the very first year that we've ever done YAC, and they're going to explain kind of what it's all about and introduce themselves, so I'll let them do that. But I just do want to say that these are very dedicated individuals, and they're very passionate about the environment, and we are very proud of what they have accomplished. So without further ado, the Youth Advisory Council.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, that's fun. Welcome to the Keep Pensacola Beautiful's Youth Advisory Council's end of year presentation. We would like to thank you all for taking your time out of your busy schedules to hear our proposal on how to wipe out waste in our beloved Emerald Coast waterways. The Keep Pensacola Beautiful's Youth Advisory Council is a teen-led division of the Keep Pensacola Beautiful organization. It allows high school age students to take a more active role in their community and gives them a chance to spearhead a project of their own choice to better the city. The team also allows participants to feed their passions for the environment and learn more sustainable ways to protect our future. We are the 2021 Youth Advisory Council. My name is Lauren Garrett, and I am acting editor of the YAC. I am the clearinghouse of all correspondence between contacts as we have researched and organized our final goal of implementing a water go into a Pensacola waterway. And this is our team. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Gracie Osborne. Hi, I'm Sydney Fisher. Hi, I'm May Cox. So before we go into our proposal, I would like to talk to you about Pensacola's pollution. So according to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Escambia County has produced 3.2 million pounds of waste per day, which equates to 315 million tons of waste per year in the year 2018, and this is equivalent to 1,500 blue whales per year, the weight of them. In addition to this, individuals in Escambia County are likely to produce 2 tons of waste per person per year, and ultimately 11 pounds per person per day in accordance with the environmental data. Much of the waste that does not end up in our Perdido landfill will be left to our waterways, where it will interfere with boating routes, sanitation quality, and marine life. For our annual project, this year's council decided to research the implementation of a water goat into one of Pensacola's waterways. A water goat is a device that uses floating buoys and a large net to filter trash out of rivers, streams, and other various waterways while leaving the ecosystem and marine life undisturbed. They are generally placed near the shore where they can collect runoff waste and easily be accessed and maintained. Keep Tampa Beautiful has already implemented one of these devices in their waterways and have seen immense positive results from them.
The length of the water goat holds significance due to determining the area of coastline where the waste would be collected. Based on research, having one continuous water goat would be most easily maintained as compared to having multiple different water goats. That being said, the water goat can be anywhere between 40 to 150 feet of continuous buoy chain, as well as coming in 35-foot detachable sections. The detachable segments would be beneficial for whatever reason if we had to move the water goat at any point in time to a different location. The netting that surrounds the buoy chain is made of non-gill poly nylon with openings of 3/4 square inches and is seamed with galvanized marine chain. The depth of the netting can range anywhere between 9, 16, or 24 inches depending on where we place the water goat. The depth of the netting is determined at the final location, and it should not reach the bottom of the bottom of the ocean, as large fish should be able to swim underneath and smaller fish should be able to swim in and out. The weight of the water goat is dependent on the size, as well as the galvanized chain that is used to seam the netting. For reference, a 100-foot unsubmerged water goat is approximately 174 pounds. The rise in levels due to an influx of precipitation is not a problem for the water goat, as the water goat is designed to fluctuate with the changing water levels. In the case of a hurricane or other catastrophic storm, the one side of the water goat has been designed to detach and move away, preventing a waterway hazard.
So here in front of us, we have a live simulation of a water goat and how it works in an ecosystem. So right here, we have a model beach, and along the side is the water goat with buoys acting as the booms. And below here, there's netting attached to the bottom where it is anchored down. And inside of the water, we have pollution, or simulated pollution, and the water goat is acting to bring the pollution inside and collecting it all, making it easy for volunteers to come and collect it with either a net or just coming out and grabbing it. In the water goat, you can see that it prevents all waste and pollution from going outside into waterways and maintains it all close together in the shoreline.
Awesome. And as for that maintenance, it would take a minimum number of people, 3, about 2 hours to actually clean the water goat. Now, we would want to recruit volunteers from the surrounding community. We already have volunteers that have volunteered their time from the Pensacola and Brigito Bay Estuary Program. We would want to talk to surrounding high schools to attempt to gain students who would want to learn more about the environment through this activity. That would also be getting service hours for their time. And of course, we would want to use next year's Keep Pensacola Beautiful's Youth Advisory Council to help and assist with this project. Now, here you see an adorable looking something. What is that something, you might ask? Well, let me introduce to you Mr. Trash Wheel, a litter collecting device currently residing in Baltimore Bay. Now, Mr. Trash Wheel is an incredible example of one community's efforts to protect their waterways, embracing the green movement. And not only are they embracing it, they are celebrating it. Mr. Trash Wheel has become an icon in their city, with his own Twitter pages, Instagram accounts, Facebook pages, and underground communities. He is dearly loved by the community. What better way to bring our Pensacola community together than to have a similar city mascot in Pensacola Bay? Now, we haven't decided on a name, but we really like the idea of our mascot being a very hungry caterpillar, like the beloved children's book by author Eric Carle. But instead of eating one big lollipop, our caterpillar would catch the wrapper. Now, when I spoke with Robert Turbin, the manager of the Marine Resources Division of Escambia County, as well as members of his team, we discussed options for possible locations. The ones that came up the most, and we did conclude was probably the most appropriate location to put the water goat, would be Project Green Shores. Now, the video you're about to see is a very entertaining zoom in on Google Earth. I would warn you that it is a bit outdated, but it does give you a good look at the area where we would like to implement the system. And right here we can see the city of Pensacola, and here is the Project Green Shores building. Here, as you can see, is Pensacola Bay, and this is the bridge that connects Pensacola to Gulf Breeze, and as you can see, it is presently not there. Up here we can see the oyster reefs, and the amount of runoff that comes off of Pensacola City would go not only into the bay, but into the open ocean as well. And that could be immensely decreased or even completely stopped with the implementation of a water goat system. We are currently in correspondence with the Pensacola and Brigito Bay Estuary Program, as well as Project Green Shores, and have their support as well as the Marine Resources Division support on this venture.
To determine the impact of the water goat in its location and the pollution in the surrounding areas, there are 2 different methods of waste recording that can be done that I believe are the most effective ways. Being able to tell what sort of trash is being caught in the water goat allows us to draw conclusions and respond to those problems in our community. The first method is using CleanSwell, a smartphone application that allows users to input what kind of waste they collect, including cigarette butts, plastic bags, and bottles. This method would be most user-friendly to volunteers, to our volunteers who might not always be cleaning out the water goat. The second method is a more involved, and that is using the Escape Trash Assessment Protocol, or ETAP, published by the EPA. It is essentially a guidebook explaining several steps to how to survey the area of the water goat and to document the waste levels before, during, and after a certain period of time with the water goat. This method, while more, as I've previously stated, is more intense, it can allow us to organize our data in a very presentable way when reporting the success of the water goat. Now the cost of the water goat ranges anywhere between $1,700 and $3,300. This is mainly, the variation in price is due to the different customizations, such as the length, the depth of the netting, and the weight of the chain. It is important to note that the company in Tampa sells the water goats at price to organizations such as KPB. The price range, however, does not take into account the transportation cost, as I have previously stated, the company that makes these are in Tampa.
So what you see on screen is a force field analysis that we've created to cover the forces for and against change when implementing a water goat in one of our waterways. For anyone that is unfamiliar, a force field analysis is essentially a more complex pros and cons list that ranks each pro and con on a scale from 1 to 4. As far as forces for change go, the most important ones were that the water goat reduces pollution and that it does not interfere with or harm the ecosystem. In addition, they don't restrict water flow, are easy to set up, are durable and made to last 10 years, and are efficient in their waste collection. In terms of forces against change, we deemed that the initial cost was the largest con, followed by the necessary twice-a-month maintenance. A team must pull the water goat to shore, remove all the waste, put the water goat back, and then properly dispose of the garbage, which can take some time and requires volunteers. Other cons include the lack of information online and that there are few manufacturers that produce them. However, in the end, we deemed that the forces for change outweigh the cons, leading us to recommend the water goat as a viable means of waste removal in our waterways.
So in the event that implementing a water goat is not feasible, we do have other options to consider. The first that I would like to introduce is the litter getter. The litter getter was developed by Don Bates and the Osprey Initiative, and it works to intercept floating litter from stormwater runoff. It has a floating structure that uses boom to direct the flow of water and into an aluminum cage trap. These floating trash traps collect both litter and debris with the goal of preventing it going further downstream. The booms are anchored by stakes, which in the embankment, which make it easy for wildlife, kayaks, and boats to pass underneath it or over it, making it environmentally safe. The trash collected by both the Osprey Initiative and volunteers who either wade or kayak to the collection device are able to collect it and sort it between recyclables and non-recyclables, where each are disposed of properly. Labor is used instead of machinery to be able to reduce the ecological footprint as much as possible. The litter getter was able to collect more than 2,000 pounds of runoff litter and debris in Ponchatoula Creek alone in 2019, and its significant contribution led to the renewal of its service to maintain its waste collection and prevention. Another option that we have besides the litter getter are drainage nets that collect debris and litter from falling off into our waterways. In this device, nets are attached to drainage pipes where water, sewage, and runoff are able to filter freely through it and prevent any extra from pollutant entering streams and interfering with wildlife and others. This idea was first implemented in Kwinana, Australia as a cost-effective way of filtering waste from waterways. In the first 6 months alone, it was able to collect 815 pounds of waste, where it was individually sorted and separated into recyclables and non-recyclables, where it is turned into biodegradable fertilizer. The pipes are cleaned once every 2 months, and precautionary measures are engineered to make sure that animals are not able to be caught in the netting. If any of these options appear to be more suitable than implementing a water goat, we would be happy to discuss these options further with you. But at the same time, we hope that our water goat idea is the best device to wipe out waste in our waterways. So with that being said, are there any questions?
Well, how do you plan to raise money?
So we've actually had some fundraising this year that we have been using to fundraise for our water goat. So we did this through our graffiti garbage grab, which is a cleanup that we did to fundraise for just our YEC and being able to move forward with it. So it's just a cleanup that we were able to conduct and hopefully raise money for.
How much money do you think you need in order to get started? Any idea?
I would say we would probably be shooting for at least the initial implementation, probably on a smaller sized water goat. So it would probably be around, for the initial cost of the water goat, $1,700 for it. However, again, like I said earlier, with the transportation cost, we might want to aim our goal to be about $2,000, probably to make up for cost of transportation.
Along with that, we've also been in contact with a lot of Pensacola businesses to offer grants, and thankfully we have been able to get some feedback with that. So hopefully we'll be able to increase our funding moving forward. Any online? Feel free to type in the chat if there are any questions.
I have more questions if no one else does. And I don't know that you know the answers to these, but I'll ask them anyway. So don't feel bad if you don't know the answers at all. Have any discussions been done about the aesthetics of it? It's not especially pretty, and it'll be down there on the waterfront.
So there have been several discussions about how to go about proposing the water goat to like the surrounding communities like condos and complexes and stuff. So what we're really trying to sell is, we will admit it's not necessarily the most pretty, however it is definitely beneficial because you don't just want random waste piling up throughout in your community. Really, we are trying to propose it to the community as more of the looks of it as a more necessary evil than anything else, because it does get the job done and it is very effective.
And also the example of the Mr. Trash Wheel and how it brought together the community up there in Baltimore. We would want to try to almost promote our water goat as something along those lines, that it would kind of take away from the aspect that it isn't that pretty if we put some googly eyes on it. So I think that that would be a really good idea and a way to look forward into this venture.
And also, just to add on one more thing, the colors it comes in, it could possibly come in, are white, seafoam green, blue, which would blend perfectly in with the water, or a scarlet, orangey red. Yes.
Do we have any idea how much trash is making its way into the bay? I know the city has done some stuff with, what do they call those things? Those big holes they dig in the ground. They put those traps that are supposed to collect, and then they empty them out every so often. I'm not sure all the mechanics of it, but they're putting in one just right across the way. In fact, that's those big metal boxes, and stormwater runs in there, and it's supposed to collect garbage out of them, and then they're supposed to be cleaned out every so often. But I know in different places they've been installed to keep, trash out of the bays and bayous. But do we have any idea how much is actually making its way, and how much something like this would actually keep out of the bay?
That would be something that we would have to do some further research on, but I would say that if the city of Pensacola is still implementing those big metal boxes, then there definitely is room for our water goat to do some good.
Someone on the chat said vortex unit is what they're called.
Vortex units. Oh, sounds very scientific. Sounds like something you don't want to get dropped into. But yeah, the retention pond over here, what we've got is a low spot where the water collects, and of course the retention pond,
Straight back there.
But they're putting some kind. I don't know how it all works, but they put them in several places all over town, especially around the bayou, especially.
Mark Jackson says the city has installed close to 80 units. So far.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of data will come back from that.
We can check the
Especially
city,
if
see
they're-
how often, they're getting, especially with the bayou is like the closest, because, the opening to the bay is so small, it doesn't really flush, so if it gets into the bayou, it's there, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, especially if they have that counter and categorizer put in with those, then you can definitely get some really good statistical data on how much you're going to get from both the water go and the what were they called? Vortex units.
Yeah, so it seems like you guys have two challenges, really, try to raise some money for the water goat or whatever system, and then the maintenance, because it would have to be certainly, emptied, because that would even be uglier if it wasn't.
Yes, I agree. So,
Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. Well,
Thank you guys.
yes. Thank you all so much. For those of you that are on Zoom or anyone that didn't make it, I will be sending this presentation out with the slides. So in case you weren't able to really see what was going on the projector, you'll be able to go back and reference it. And then these guys will be around for about another month. So if you have questions down the line, you can email me. It's the email that I'll send the presentation out on, and I'll make sure it gets to them. So thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it.